Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing fantastic. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Also, the Tobin and Leroy Show back live in your lives every single weekday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You guys can watch that on the 560 WQAM YouTube page. The final hour of our show today, Chris Grier started speaking to the media alongside Mike McDaniel. And, you know, it was interesting. Like, these guys almost need to be separated to kind of talk about their own issues. But I will say my overall feeling after watching it was I came out of that press conference and they spoke for a long time, like 37 minutes, which is obviously lifted up by the fact that Mike McDaniel takes a while to gather his thoughts and say them into a microphone. I just came out of it with very, very little faith that these are the guys who are going to get it fixed. And I say that as somebody who I dig Mike McDaniel. I like his vibe. I like that he's a little different. I like that he's quirky. But a lot of the things that I heard yesterday from the players talking about where things were at from a disciplinarian position and just a disciplined position, it really kind of starting to sound like a guy who's in over his head, right? The guy is got some good qualities about him, right? Like there is a level of relating to today's player and to stars that I do think people like. But man, it's tough not to go back and think about what the former safety Deshaun Elliott said about the culture down here, and feel like that all hasn't kind of unraveled and come to fruition with everything that has unfolded this season. And you just look at the way things are at with how Tyreek Hill, who had a week where he pulls himself out of a game, trolls about it on Twitter, makes himself Antonio Brown on the avatar. By the way, thank you to him for making himself back into a Dolphins jersey. All is forgiven, Cheetah. But you know, I hear Mike and I hear Chris Grier today talk about this whole situation, and I'm just like, I don't know if this head coach has really the capability to get all of the ducks in a row and get everybody going in the same direction to have this place in a successful manner. You know, I just don't know if the buy-in was there, right? Like, and I think maybe in years past it was better, but I don't know. It just felt like this year it was not. We could put this all under the caveat. Yeah, we know Chris Grier very much made that clear today. Hey, what's the number one reason you guys haven't won a playoff game? Well, our quarterback missed 6.5 games. Dude, let me tell you something, Chris. First of all, stop making it more games than it was, okay? Your quarterback missed 6 games. He got injured in a game where you were going to lose that game. Okay, the damage was done in that game. You were going to lose that Bills game. So the fact that you even have to fluff it up and be like, well, he missed 6.5 games. Like, nah, dude. You guys were getting killed in that game. He had just thrown the worst interception you've ever seen in your life. And yeah, he was injured, but you don't have to like fluff it up as it is. And then the idea that, I don't know, I just felt like the two of them, I felt like Mike took more accountability, and I felt like Chris Grier took no accountability for anything. You know, like the big one and the doozy today was the offensive line, which is everybody's favorite thing to talk about, which he was very quick to point out. But the way that he just dodges each bullet like he's Neo on all things offensive line was almost breathtaking in how much he doesn't take any accountability, right? Because first off, we all know the quote. It's a bad one. It's a bad look for a general manager where he's like, you guys are a lot more concerned. We all know the line, right? And he goes, oh, I'm surprised it took this long to ask that. I'm not in the mood for jokey jokes, dude. I really am not. Not at this point. Not with this team. And then it's just like, well, when I said that, you know, we had to believe in those guys because those are who we were going with. And they led the league in rushing. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, first, then it just starts going to the deflections because it's like, well, and not everybody talked about Aaron Brewer because everybody was so obsessed about Connor Williams being gone. It's like, all right, dude, cool. You did a decent job on Brew, cool. And then it's like, and then Austin, we got off to a good start. Then Austin Jackson got hurt, and it was a slow bleed. And I got to tell you, dude, that to me was where it's like, no, man, it was a slow bleed. The time that you tried to continue to put Liam Eichenberg as a starter on that offensive line. You have been trying to cover up for that pick for years. The only guy he didn't mention today, by the way, out of everybody, which was very noticeable for a guy that they could not shut up for years. These two up here swearing up and down that Eichenberg was going to be, working tirelessly, was going to be a thing. And all you did was see this guy face plant on the ground and whiff blocks and learn how to agitate his opponent to draw flags. That's it. But not a peep about him today, which was notable. And it's notable because for years they tried to say, no, you guys don't get it. A lot of love for that guy. And then all of a sudden, when they got to talk about the quality of the offensive line, nothing to say about it. And then obviously then he's like, yeah, nobody talks about Keon Smith going down. And then we lost, I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. We didn't talk about Keon Smith going down. Silly us. What? Like, what are you talking? Well, Isaiah Wynn had a setback. All right. Teron Armstead. It's like, dude, you didn't know Teron Armstead could get hurt? Really? Like, Teron Armstead lives his life and the balance of is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be hurt? And then, he says, this is the time for us again to start investing in some offensive linemen. And I'm like, wow, cool. Thank you for catching up with us, dude. Appreciate that, Chris. That's awesome of you. And it was for me, that was like, that's all I needed to hear for the rest of the time. Everything else is really just, so it's like, let's just not take you, I guess, at your word for anything. Because, you're sitting back here and instead of eating, a Cinnabon with a coffee, laughing it up with Mike, you're just like, I just lied to those guys and told them I believe in these guys, but I don't believe in these guys. It's like, nah, all right, fine. And now, like, I guess I hope that, cleanses your soul that that I'm not back. And then he's like, I'm not backtracking. It's like, all right, dude, sure you're not. Sure you're not, Chris. The other funny thing was the Tua stuff because they completely threw him under the bus and used the term unacceptable, which was, I was like, it's kind of strong for QB1. And I get it. Look, Tua has his durability issues, but once again, this is a GM who can't help himself when it comes to guys with a track record of injury. And I'm not going to crush him too much on the Tua thing because I was in support of paying Tua. However, if you're the general manager and you're just like, hey, we have a guy, we know that he gets hurt. We also know he's a little reckless when he gets out of the pocket trying to extend plays. And then Tua gets hurt because he was reckless trying to extend plays and make something happen, and you're just like, that's unacceptable. It's like, what? What did you think was going to happen, dude? I think it's one of these things where it's like you would think the foresight would be a lot better with Chris Grier, and it just seems like he's more patching up holes than he has the whole plan built out in his head. He said it was great to see him grow as a player. Mentioned his leadership. A couple of our free agents came in and said he's one of the best leaders they've been around as a quarterback. To see where he's come from early time is impressive. That being said, he needs to be available. He needs to know how to protect himself. You're going to get hit at times. It's always going to happen. He needs to be able to control what he controls. He understands that not being available for taking chances and risk is unacceptable to us, and he knows that. And I just felt like, wow, hold on, dude. I get it. Not that what you're saying is untrue, But man, it felt like you gave the burden of this season for Tua Tagovailoa trying hard at football. That's where you threw this all at the feet of him. And look, Tua's QB1. He is the face of the franchise. Like, that is what comes with the territory. Like that's, if you want to parallel it in town, that's like Pat Riley giving most of the blame to Jimmy Butler last year, even though Jimmy Butler has been the best player and been any reason why they're a competent team. But I was just like, that's unacceptable. I'm like, if I was Tua, I was like, you know what's unacceptable to me? You sticking me with 3 years of Eichenberg. That's unacceptable. How about that? It's, and it's like, but that's the only thing is like that for Chris Grier to come out here. And I've not been a guy who's like calling for people's jobs. I really haven't been. I haven't been a guy that's like, fire Chris Grier. I haven't said those words, fire Chris Grier. I've made fun of things that he's said that have been ridiculous. But I was hoping to come into this press conference today, and I was hoping to be at a spot where it's like I have a little bit of belief in these guys. And what I have is a GM who looks for every excuse under the sun, throws his players under the bus for getting hurt in football, and tells everybody when I said that I have no concerns for the offensive line, I was just lying to make him feel good. It's like, wow. Well, I guess no wonder you've kept a job for 25 years because you are like you are a black belt. You are a sensei. You are a 5-star general when it comes to throwing people under the bus. Like that is crazy to me. It really is. I marveled at this today. It really was. It was wild, and it doesn't give you a whole heap of faith that he's got any idea on how to fix this, and where this franchise is gonna go. And then the idea, the thing that's also, I read Tua missed the 6 games. There's no doubt that those are, that's not great. Now, you ended up being in a position where even if he would have played the last game, you wouldn't have gotten into the playoffs. There were games that he could have won before he got hurt that would have put you in a better position to win the playoffs. Didn't win those games. You're still miles away from the Buffalo Bills. Got absolutely spanked in that game. Got spanked against the Houston Texans because of that, awesome offensive line that you put together there, Chris. And then Tua didn't do himself any favors in the times that he did have time. So and that was another thing with Chris Grier is like there was at one point they asked him about the cold weather games, and he was just like, yeah, too many, we can play in the cold, but too many self-inflicted wounds. Like, no, but dude, if you can't play in the game correctly, that's you also not being able to play in the cold. Like that's part of it. One, it's like, yeah, you're blanketing an issue that's still an issue. You're just giving it to lack of discipline in the cold as opposed to being able to bear the cold, I guess. And then the other thing is like, man, you're kind of throwing Mike McDaniel under the bus right there because that's what Chris Grier loves to do. Throw people under the bus, apparently. That's what this felt like, man. I think from my standpoint, for a guy who had his job secured by the owner, he's not going anywhere. I would have thought there was going to be a little bit more accountability. And I'm again, not firing Chris Grier. I have not done that. I'm not sitting here asking for Chris Grier to lose his job. Was I surprised that like it was that quick? A little bit. There was no talk, no nothing. Chris, Stephen Ross had made that decision every day, but he says I see him every other day. There's obviously a faith there from the owner. I don't really get it. But I definitely came out today. I'm like, I don't think this guy's going to get it done. I really don't. I really, really don't. And I thought that was, I think to me, that was the most disappointing out of this whole press conference and everything. I'm just like, all right, does this guy have any idea how to fix this? Or is he just telling you? Because even today, like somebody asked him about the durability thing and he goes, well, listen, you don't want to miss out on the talent. I'm like, he can't help himself. It's like he can't help himself. He's going to continue to sign guys who have no durability. He's going to continue to sign guys that you're going to have to make good for by making more good picks because he loves to sign guys who have no durability. And, the Dolphins are just going to be sitting here chasing their tail for the next few years, it feels like. Not a very inspiring day from the Dolphins GM.